everyone, your pal 6-Speed here, and today we are working on my personal, back up just a bit, 2013 Kia Sorento. For those of you who have seen my last video, why I sold the Dakota, will know, and those of you who follow on social media will know for a while now, that my wife and I bought this thing this last April. It's now August 2017. Yeah, I won't get into the reasons why I got rid of it. I'll link that video in the description. But, you know, as the Quincy Jones song says, everything must change. So, yeah, this is the engine bay of my Kia Sorento. It is a 3.5 liter V6. I love this engine. It's got a very impressive roar to it, like almost sounds like a GTR when you wind it out. It's a lot of fun. 275 horsepower, something like that. It's pretty quick. I bet you this thing could probably wax my truck if we line them up in a straight line race. Anywho, it is about 1,000 kilometers early, but since we're doing a rather long road trip in about a week, I need to change the oil and rotate the tires and all that stuff, so I'm going to bring you guys along with me. Alright, so this is all the stuff you're going to need. We have a suitable drain pan, we got a 17mm wrench, we got a 27mm socket on a 1/2-inch drive ratchet. That socket is very, very important. And this is I believe this is the OEM oil filter, because the one I pulled out of there the last time I changed the oil, which the last time the oil was changed before that was at the dealership, had this same number. This is an OX147D. It's a Mahle, M-A-H-L-E is pronounced Mahle apparently, filter. And inside it you get a new cartridge, as well as, you get a new O-ring, and you get a new crush washer, which is awesome. I don't really like the cardboard top on the thing, or the cellulose fiber, whatever that is. I'm thinking of actually using the Bosch one next. That one looks a lot nicer. This guy's got this little plug here on the bottom, so that's to let the oil in the filter housing drain out. So I'm going to just slide that back in there. We are using Castrol Edge. This is a 5-quart jar, 5-liter jug. Make sure you have an extra quart on hand. This engine takes 5.5. I have another one in the car. I just don't want to grab it out right now. So this is a very, very easy job, so let's hop to it. Okay, so we're kind of on the driver's side looking towards the passenger side of the vehicle. And right here you see the engine oil pan. Right on the back here is our drain plug. You can't really miss it. Back here's the transfer case drain plug. And I believe the transmission drain plug is up underneath one of these covers. Anyway, you can't really mistake this one. It's a 17mm wrench. And as I only have one glove, I'm going to use my right hand to do it. So, we're going to let the oil drain out. Make sure you leave your bucket underneath the pan, and I will show you why in just a second. Alright, so when you come to the top of the engine, see this big engine cover. Now this just pops right off if you pull on it. There's no bolts holding it down like my mom's Santa Fe. Right here's your oil filter housing. You're just going to use your 27mm socket to unscrew this. Do not try to use anything else. Don't try to use a pipe wrench, a crescent wrench, anything. Use a 6-point socket so you do not round this thing right off. Alright, so the O-ring's a little sticky on this guy sometimes. So once you get your cap loose, just pull it straight up and quickly tip it over so that you don't spill any of the oil inside. This doesn't have that big long standpipe that sticks out of it like some of them do, so this one actually isn't so bad. Now just kind of set that aside somewhere in a safe place where it won't tip over. I've yet to figure that out. And then right there is our oil filter. And if you can just listen very closely, you can hear the oil kind of just dribbling out. Now as soon as we pull this out, you kind of got to wiggle. It should drain a little faster. I can hear it, but I'm not sure if you guys can. So that's where the oil goes, is back down into the pan. That's why you want to leave your plug out. And there's our filter housing. So filter doesn't look all that bad. It's not very dark. And frankly, neither is the oil. I've chosen to change it every 6,000 kilometers on the severe duty service. This is a 5,000 kilometer service for me, so that should get me right on the 6,000 kilometer service, considering the fact it's at 30,000 right now, so the next one will be at 36. Anyway, next step, we got to put our new filter back in. Okay, so before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we need to take our screwdriver and pull out our O-ring gently. There we are. So the O-ring comes off. Set that aside. Now, you can kind of see right here, there's this groove, and then there's this lower groove. Well, where this lower groove is where the thread kind of ends, and the upper groove is where you want it. So, kind of like a piston ring, I like to roll it in there. I've actually never used those ring pliers when putting piston rings on. But anyway, that's aside from the point. There we are. Now we'll just make sure we hit this O-ring with a little bit of oil before we put it back in. Okay, so even though it's probably not necessary, I put a little bit of oil on that little tab. Now I'll put it back in. Gotta find where that damn tab goes though. So you can kind of see that little hole right there, kind of on the right-ish. Just kind of want to, there we go. There we go. It should just push right down into the hole. That's it. That's all. So I've already lubricated the cap, oh dear, with a little bit of Mobil 1, or Castrol Syntex, sorry. So yeah, just basically reverse the installation procedure. Now when you're cranking the cap down, now it's hard to do this with one hand, but if you feel a ton of resistance, like the thing's going to break, just stop. But you want this gap here to be totally closed. You don't want any gap between the cap and the filter housing. Alright, so one of the last things we have to do is our drain plug. We're going to pull our crush washer off, and we're going to install our new one. I like to face it. This is punched probably with a CNC punch, and there's a little burr on that edge. I usually like to put that towards the pan. It's just my being anal about it. Okay, so now we're going to put our plug back into our oil pan. Tighten it up. Just give it a good snug. Doesn't have to be in there super tight. Don't be like one of those oil change monkeys that goes and does that as tight as they possibly can. Anyway, I've dealt with enough of those in my lifetime, trust me. So just give it a wipe, make sure there's no oil on it, and we'll go back up top, fill her up. Alright, so once you've refilled the oil and you've checked it on the dipstick to make sure it's good, it's time to start up. So, this thing has no key, so foot on the brake and button. And the oil pressure light goes off, and it sounds awesome. I'll just take it off the lift and double check the oil level. So that's pretty much it. You know, I always like to rev it up a bit. Make sure the oil light doesn't come on. Told you it has a good sound. Anyway, that's pretty much about it. So I'll just make sure once you're done that the, push the mirror back out, that the oil level's good, and if not, top it up a little bit, that's fine. And then remember to return your oil to a proper recycling facility. I got a couple of places that can do it depending on where I am at the time. It's just good to have those. So anyway, yeah, it's a very simple oil change. I really like changing the oil in this thing. It's really easy. On my 2013 Kia Sorento. Anyway, I have a lot more work to do, and I'm pretty much ready for bed at this point, even though I still have to rotate the tires on this thing. Anyway, I'm 6Speed Dakota. You could follow me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and here on YouTube as 6Speed Dakota. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe, and yeah, have a good one, everyone.